Alan Bailey here on set of the PRVM studios, and we are discussing a very important topic today, one that you may be dealing with presently in light of the global pandemic. We are here on set with nurse Laverne Fraser Adams, and she will be helping us, bring light to mental health awareness. How do you deal with it? How do we cope as a community and manage? We're also going to deal with some of the taboos and the stigmas here today on set. So let's welcome Nurse Laverne Fraser Adams. How are you?
I am great. Awesome.
Nice.
It's so awesome to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time, to be here. I know you guys now, we have this new term, the frontline workers.
Frontline workers, yeah.
How has it been for you out there serving tirelessly every day? So let's go in from there.
All right. Well, initially, of course, not knowing what to expect. We heard about this COVID-19, but I think I went out brave.
Yes.
Knowing that this is what I do, this is what I love. So I just went out, of course, following all the policies, all the protocols,
yes.
and head out and did what I'm accustomed doing.
Yeah,
we
definitely.
Just had to.
And I love you said they were accustomed doing, because you are a psychiatric nurse for 20 years. Yeah. You also been doing general health or general nurse for 14 years. Yeah. And you're currently serving as a district nurse at community level, dealing with mental health. Yes? So 20 years in this particular field. What made you decide to venture there?
Well, actually, initially, it was not even a passion. I must say it was not a passion. I must say my father.
Okay.
My dad is the one, he encouraged me. As a young person, most of my colleagues, my friends, getting through with a job, and I've been a bit frustrated. I was young.
Right.
And my dad was like, what about nursing? I was like, nursing? I know I have two sisters who are already in that field, and he probably thought it can work for you, but it really wasn't a passion. And what I really liked was social work.
Right.
Because from inception, I always liked, dealing with people, wanting to help somebody.
Right.
Wanting to make somebody better off.
Wow.
So I did apply reluctantly, but I did. And I did get the call. Initially, they said, we don't have general nursing available.
Right.
What about psychiatric nursing? It's like, psychiatric nursing? Is there a thing like psychiatric nursing?
Right.
I was not even aware of it.
Okay.
And so at that time, we have the encyclopedia. I said, okay, let me read up on this thing. I had a little paragraph. I read up on it. I thought about it. I said, am I able to deal with mentally ill persons? Right. But I did contemplate. And a few days after, they called back. And I was like, okay. And with my dad, he was like, try it. He and all was a big skeptical, but he was like, you should try it. And I said, you know what, I'll try it.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my gosh, I think this is what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I really thank God for that push from him, and him, parents, they would see a little more than we would see. Yeah. So have not regretted it.
I think even hearing you speak, I saw the foundation was already set, because you were saying you had a passion, you wanted to be there to help persons, make persons' lives better. And I think so you're on the right path.
I saw that after. I realized
going through
that
the training and everything else. So now you are actually in it.
Definitely.
Graduated, now you're on the wards, you are dealing and doing what your heart wants.
Yes.
Help persons. Were there any time in that where you were like second guessing yourself, like, what am I doing here? Dealing with these type of patients? I
think initially, you got into your training and spent 3 years of training, so at the end of it, we were mostly equipped, but of course, it's when you actually get in, when you get in that hands-on, is when you would know. And at times, it would be overwhelming.
Yes.
Hearing the different scenarios, hearing the history of certain people, what they had to go through, family background, because mental illness is it is genetic.
Okay.
So it will go through from like mother to son or daughter.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes a family, a grandmother, a mother, sometimes siblings.
Wow.
And when you hear the history, you hear, you know, it could be heartbreaking, but I remember one of the things that they taught us in school, we cannot take the issues home.
Right.
We have to learn how to differentiate, how to, okay, what I do at work, I leave it at work when I get home, because we can take the stressors home. We can take that feeling of being overwhelmed and anxious home, and it wouldn't work out too well.
Right.
So that was one thing. It took me a while. It took me, but I mean, sometimes there are some scenarios that it stays with you.
Right.
It stays. So you just have to ask God, Lord, help me to deal, to effectively help my clients, but at the same time, you have to help yourself.
Yes.
The same techniques you teach your clients, you know, how to have good mental health, what to do, time to relax, you know, take time for yourself. We have to do that because we have to maintain mental health as well.
And we want to go into that. You say maintain good mental health. And I know for some of us, as soon as you hear the word mental health, you know, we all jump to that conclusion. Somebody is mad, right? So we're just going to talk plain. But help us understand that your mental health and mental illness. Yes.
So mental health is that ability that you have to cope, like with different scenarios, because I mean, life happens.
Yes.
You know, there are stressors all the time. You might get up one morning, everything is fine, but before the day ends, so much things happen, and your mental health is affected. You might lose a job, and of course with COVID, I think we can all relate to that because we have been directly affected or indirectly. And but how did we cope?
Yes.
You know, were we able to adjust after a little while? Okay, this is something new. Let me try to make some changes. Let me try to adjust. Or is it that you went into a state of depression? Is it that you went into fear? You were panicking? Is it that you had sleepless nights?
Wow.
So all these things will depend on the status of your mental health. So I think it's only around that time, well, within this time, that a lot of people realize, okay, mental health is something that is real. I really have to take, you know, particular attention to that part of me. So for a lot of persons, when we think mental health, automatically they think mental illness, but it is so different. So when you have good mental health, you are able to cope, you're able to adjust. A mental illness would be diagnosed by a health professional. You know, and we would hear like schizophrenia, depression, bipolar mood disorder. But having mental health, you know, you're able to adjust. You're able to cope with that scenario, that stressor that comes your way on a daily basis. And as I said, you know, with COVID, that made a big difference. People would have identified, oh my gosh, I think I need to take a little more time, do some introspection, and work a little more on my mental health.
Yes. So what are some of the signs you will say, you know, as we say the red flags? I'm home and I'm experiencing my children, my spouse, my loved ones. What would you tell us some of the signs to look for when someone is now being affected, their mental health is being affected negatively?
Okay, so first of all, I would say just feeling very overwhelmed. As a situation occurs, we would feel overwhelmed, but you're able to deal with it and get over. But if for days you having headaches, you are continuously, you know, worrying, continuously having fear, continuously panicking, then I would say you are having, you're having some issues with your mental health. And there's some things that you can do. Some persons would be able to adjust with everyone, you know, initially, what is COVID about? What is this virus? Where is it from? We looking at the news, we listening to the media conferences to find out a little more. There would have been some fear and some anxieties, but after some people were able to adjust and say, okay, they say we have to wear masks. They say we have to social distance. I will do that. I would use my media, whatever form, whatever platform, and connect with my friends. I would still try to work out things, but then there may be some persons who were not able to handle that at all. Locked in, you know, I can't go out with my friends. I can't meet in church. I can't go to my youth group. How am I going to manage?
Yeah.
But as opposed to reaching out, they stay to themselves, and which will not be good for your mental health at all. We have to express ourselves. We have to interact with others.
So you would advise that persons communicate.
Definitely.
Find some medium of communication, even though we are, you know, the different terms of quarantining and staying inside and social distancing, still fine. Would you say that your workload has increased, and what would you say is the dynamics between male and female coming to your clients, coming for that assistance?
My workload, I would say it has increased because we now have to operate differently.
Right.
Before we would have a particular routine, like we have clinic days and we know what we have to do, but now everyone can come in to the building as before. So what we adopted at work, we would what is called tele-psychiatry.
Okay.
Just a big term for calling
and get counsel.
So how are you? You know, we realize, okay, that person's appointment is coming up. We find out what's happening, and if there is a need that they have to see the doctor.
Okay.
So if we realize there isn't a need, we can just chat with them, make sure everything is fine, and we just organize. They can come to collect a prescription, because of course their medication is vitally important.
Right.
So at least they can have their medication. Now there are some persons, they felt, I mean, they are aware of the COVID, fear again, don't want to come. So we realize some persons missing in action.
Right.
So what we have to do a little more home visits.
Right.
Probably check up, take medication to their homes, because at the end of it, we don't want anyone else to be made worse off because of this pandemic. Our clients are already mentally ill, already having challenges with their mental health. So we don't want them to regress.
Feel abandoned.
That's right. So we have to do a little more, but I mean, at the end of it, physically and mentally it's a little more, but at least you still feel satisfied. Okay, I'm able to help.
Yes.
I'm able to reach out to this client. So I think that just levels it off.
Yes.
It's fine. We do it because we love it.
Exactly. So ladies and gentlemen, Nurse Adams is here on set in the PRVM studios, and you're hearing some vital information. You know, want to reiterate, you know, once you see persons withdrawing themselves, once you see persons, you know, who is normally active and out, those are some of the telltales and the signs, right? And I love the fact that you mentioned that there are services out there that they can tap into. And a lot of the time, some of us don't know, the general public don't know that these services are there. So Nurse Adams, could you bring us abreast to some of the services that you all have? You are also working as a district nurse, so some of the services that you have to offer.
So I am a district nurse, but of course I specialize in psychiatry, and there are clinics throughout, well, for Trinidad, there are clinics throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Sometimes we really don't know. So just as we have the health centers in the community, there's also either a wellness center or outpatient psychiatric facility where you can walk in. If you have a referral, that's great. But even if you feel like, I don't think I'm doing well, I don't think I'm coping, I think I need some help. And sometimes we can advise persons, you know, if there's a trusting person you can talk to, you know, a family member, a friend that you can, you know, just talk to. But then sometimes they may say, well, I don't have anybody. I don't have. Then you can come to us. There is help. We have counselors, mental health officers, you know, the social workers, the doctors. We have a team who are willing to give you that help, give you that support.
Reach out. Reach out. Do not suffer in silence. And the operative word that keeps coming up is coping. So basically, your mental health is dependent on your coping mechanisms.
Coping abilities.
All right?
That's right.
And it's not just those labels of schizophrenia and bipolar, you know, depression, anxiety, you know, fear, and I heard you use that a lot. Fear, you know, and we are going through these different dynamics daily. All right? So we want to address some of those, you know, and how does these migrate or escalate? So we can start off with fear. right? I'm being overwhelmed.
Yes,
yeah. And if we neglect that, then what are some of the the telltale signs that we are escalating?
Yeah. Okay. So someone, again, we have to, because we are presently in this pandemic, this is the example we would continue to refer to, because everyone is affected. So initially, okay, we heard about COVID, and some persons that fear would have gripped them so much to the point that they don't even want to come outside. They don't even want to, like, they're accustomed coming to probably the clinic appointment, probably going to the grocery, doing their daily routine, daily activities, and they are just home. And certain needs that they have to get met, their health needs, you know, getting their nutritious, just food and stuff, they are not even meeting that. And, you know, inability to sleep, insomnia. Having the headache, the continuous worry. And then what fear does, now fear works closely with anxiety. Fear and anxiety. And the persons now, you start to actually develop physical symptoms. So it's not just mentally, it's not just affecting your mind, but what affects the mind affects our body as well. So then you will have symptoms like palpitations. You might start cold sweating, feeling numb, just feeling anxious, you know, just body feeling tense. All these different symptoms can happen to you, right? And then you might also, because of social media and all the videos and all these things that we're listening to.
Oh my God.
You know, you can get up one morning and you're actually feeling all these symptoms. And you may be wondering, do I have COVID? This time you don't have COVID, but it's just because of the fear and everything that we are taking into our system. Now, our minds are so powerful. Our minds is your mind is a powerful tool, and just taking in all these things, we can begin to experience it.
Too much negative.
Too much negative. And this is what a lot of persons, even those who don't have a mental illness, and this can definitely affect your mental health. So you have to know the cutoff points. I mean, we need to know what's happening. Don't get me wrong. We have to listen to the news. We have to be up to date. But sometimes when people are sharing, there must be a cutoff point. Because this can take you to another limit, and it would not be well for you.
I love that, because just recently I myself had to, you know, take a moment to withdraw from the social media, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to look at these feeds, I'm not going to look at these posts and you know, bombarding yourself with the daily updates and how many people died and how many contracted and all these different things. So I personally had to say, okay, cool, I'm going to take some time off today, or for 2 hours during the day, just, okay, I'm off of social media, let me just relax, get myself together. And so some of these things could be your coping mechanisms.
And a mental health break. We all need to take that mental health break. And sometimes when we're going through the day and we just feel, oh my gosh, I don't think I could cope, I don't think I could manage. Ask yourself, have I taken my mental health break today? And then, you know, you can just, okay, let me just sit down for 5 minutes. Let me just put up my feet for 2 minutes. Because, I mean, I could just think about the mothers now. They're home. Well, we know school is on vacation, but school vacation just started. So you're working from home. You have the children in school. You have to help them. You still have to cook, and you have to cook more than ever now. You have to clean, you have to wash, and you're going and you're going and you're going.
Non-stop.
But, and then you say, but I can't take my break. I have to do. But then you can just collapse. You will burn out. You will burn out. So even if it's just a 15 minutes, we need to take a break. Even if it's just to do nothing. That's so important for mental health.
And I think in recent times, some of the sectors have started implementing that during their workday, having persons taking these mental breaks, and even mental health day, you know, they have also implemented those things. So it's really an important topic. So ladies and gentlemen, for you to be able to serve effectively your home, your family, your marriage, yourself, your mental health is important.
Definitely.
You have to take care of you before you can take care of anyone else.
That's right.
And some of these signs and symptoms that Ms. Adams just spoke about, I can see some of you writing them and taking them and saying, oh yes, that is me. Yes, do what is necessary. The services are there. Reach out to someone. Before we wrap up, I want you to speak to them and you know, move that fear of reaching out.
That's right.
You know, because that is another stumbling block to your wellness. Because someone's like, oh God, no, I don't want people to think. I don't want people, the stigma behind it.
Yeah.
So a couple minutes and just address that to our audience.
So we need to understand that, you know, in life, things will happen. As I said a little earlier on, your day might be fine, but then a circumstance happen. So even at that time, it might not be a norm to ask, even right now with finances. And we've had people come to us and said, I've never been in this situation before.
Wow.
How do I actually ask somebody for help, ask for money? I don't have food for my children. And they would comment to us and we say, hey, it's okay.
Okay.
It is okay.
Wow.
And of course, pride is a big thing.
Yeah.
If you're accustomed managing your affairs, you're managing your finances, you know, but life happens, and this pandemic happened, and we are still in it.
Yes.
So it's okay. We need to humble ourselves a little bit sometimes and reach out, because your neighbor or your brother or your sister may never know that you are in need if you don't ask for help.
Yeah.
So ask for help. Help is out there in whatever form. You will get that help. You will get that help.
Definitely. Ms. Adams, you know, we've been speaking about the audience and speaking to the audience. What about you? How have you been managing in the midst of everything? And you're married, so your home is a frontline home.
That's right. Definitely, definitely. But I think I have been managing.
Yes.
I have been managing. I mean, I take it one day at a time.
You take your breaks.
Right? Of course, we have to take our breaks.
Yes.
I mean, in the midst of, you know, trying to follow all the protocols and everything, sadly, I did come down with COVID.
Oh, okay.
So that was a time for me, and, you know, it's like, how did this happen?
Right.
But it happened, and I had to deal with it.
Yes.
And one of the things initially, and why I could have spoke a little while ago, initially with all the videos and everything coming, it was within fear, you know, and I had to cut off. So I did that for me, so I can tell someone here what we have to cut off.
Yes.
I felt like, oh my gosh, what is happening with me? Am I going to get through this? And of course, with the help of God, I just had to switch up and say, no, this too shall pass. And, you know, continue to pray, continue to trust God, because we will get through this.
We will get through this.
And as everyone else has health workers as well, we have to follow the protocols.
Just the same.
Wash the hands, social distance, wearing of the mask, even though we wear it whole day at work. Can't wait to get home just to take it off, but we just have to.
You have to do what you
have to do it.
Yeah.
So I am coping with the help of God.
With the help of God. And I think that's a perfect way to wrap up this session. With the help of God, continue praying, continue trusting the Father. Reach out. I think that's the main thing today, guys. Reach out, ask for help.
Yes.
Do not suffer in silence. Thank you so much, Nurse Adams, for joining us here on set of the PRVM studios. I'm Marlon Bailey, and thank you so much for being with us. Again, take care of yourselves. Reach out for the various social platforms, the Ministry of Health in your jurisdiction. Ask somebody. Take your time out, your mental health breaks, and see you again on the next time. Thank you so much.